Thank you very much, Aldrich, for such an enlightening presentation with the visualizations. My name is Nolan Tyson. I'm a senior fellow for energy and climate policy with the Slovak Foreign Policy Association. And it's my honor to be here with such a nice, distinguished and diverse panel, which I would like to introduce now. So we have, I think we can answer most of these questions given the diversity of the panel, representing the V4 countries, representing the public sector associations. So we have the industry voice as well, from biomethane, from hydrogen. So I think we'll get a very nice picture at the end of this panel. So let me start by welcoming Mr. Balint Egerházy from he's head of department for the Ministry of Energy of Hungary. Thank you very much. Mr. Jakub Gibek, the Director, Department of International Affairs for the Ministry of Climate and Environment of Poland. Thank you very much. We also have Mr. David Kanko, who's the Secretary General of the Slovak Biogas Association. Thank you. And we have two online participants. We have Mr. Michał Tarka from the Polish Biomethane Organization. Can you hear us, Mr. Tarka?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I hope you can hear me as well. Nice to see you. We are both honored and delighted to come online.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but not least, of course, we have Mr. Peter Mervart, who's from the Ministry of Industry and Trade's Commission for Hydrogen Strategy, Czech Republic. So Mr. Mervart, thank you for joining us as well.
Okay. So good afternoon from Prague.
Okay, so we have a large panel here as well. So let's get started. What I'd like to do, following up Aldrich's presentation, is maybe starting with diving into the national perspectives here, since we do have each V4 country represented, although with different specializations. So I think what I'd like to do first is kind of, yes, an overview of the current situation of green gases, and also whether you're from the public sector, you can comment more on the strategy, the current strategy, the development of the strategy. And when we go into kind of the specializations, perhaps you can reflect on the strategy that you would like to see, what industry is hoping for, let's say, from the government perspective. So I'd like to start with our host here, Mr. Egerházy. Perhaps you could enlighten us a bit more about the green gas situation in Hungary and the potential, and then we can start getting into more of the details of this very complex topic. So, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, it just stops working in my head. Testing. Okay, now it is the button. Thank you very much. So yes, I've written down some lines for my opening speech for everyone's benefit. First of all, allow me to welcome all my esteemed colleagues in Budapest and everyone in the audience traveling here. I hope you will have a very pleasant time. I must confess to not being a green gas expert myself, although I have been dabbling in policy making for well over the past 2 years now. So for my opening remarks, I have chosen to summarize some of the key policy aspects of our currently working on our biogas and biomethane action plan, and I would like to dive into the specificities somewhat. It is being finalized in the coming weeks. And after that, our current stance on hydrogen. So many EU regulatory and economic behavioral trends cause a gradual increase in demand for biogas and biomethane. We are seeing that right now. This action plan that we are working on for biogas and biomethane aims to start a coordinated market development on the supply side. As such, it focuses mainly on the assessment of the Hungarian feedstock potential and envisages some investments and some possible regulatory reforms that we mean to implement up to the period of 2030. It is evident for us that only with the support of the agricultural sector can we hope to raise our biogas production. And the two most difficult issues in the implementation of the action plan is achieving a high sustainable feedstock base and the targeted biogas market structure that we are aiming to implement. The two determining factors for this latter, the optimal market structure, are the distribution of the plant sizes and the proportion of biomethane produced. And spatial planning, of course, cannot be neglected as well, as transportability of raw materials, supply network opportunities, and the demand of the local heat markets are all in and of themselves independent constraining factors when planning optimal investments, especially regarding heat and biogas for heat, local heat supply. The assessment concludes that a threefold increase of the current production is attainable up to 2030, which is 600 million cubic meters of biogas. The action plan also focuses on biomethane production heavily, with about 340 million cubic meters, so more than half of the biogas deemed for further processing into biomethane. And all in all, the produced products that are not rolled back for use in the heating of the fermenters constitute about 2.7 terawatt hours of new green energy, which is equivalent to roughly about the production of 2 gigawatts of solar panels. This objective can be met cost-effectively by somewhat centralized and biomethane-focused model, where there are numerous centers based on the cooperation of the agricultural and food industry and energy companies as well. We count on the possibility of pooling the feedstock to support smaller plants, and not just the feedstock, but of course for gas purification, the biogas as well. This way, smaller plants can have a foot in the game, so to say. I also promised some remarks regarding hydrogen, if I have 1 or 2 minutes left. If we regard the recast renewable energy directive, there are 3 LFNBO criteria. I dare say that we are somewhat groping in the dark, as there is no considerable supply side for green hydrogen present in either of the Visegrad countries. Green hydrogen undoubtedly has high potential in hard-to-abate sectors, such as heavy and chemical industry and transports to some extent, but we have to overcome the price issue. And from Budapest, we see that there is currently a very large difference in renewable hydrogen production potential, even within the Union, and not counting foreign states as well. The results of the recently concluded hydrogen bank pilot auction actually confirm this, but we also have to see that there is no development without investment. And even for the sake of building industrial experiences pooled around green hydrogen, we have to and we plan to aim for financing projects, aiming for fulfilling the demands of the industrial and transport sector, decarbonization using hydrogen from electrolysis. And the first auction held with the hydrogen bank pilot also showed that there is now becoming a marketable product. Green hydrogen is now becoming a marketable product, even if it's somewhat exclusive as of now. And we hope to see this developed in the future. Our colleague from Czechia also showed a slide with the hydrogen strategy of Hungary. There was envisaged a quite large volume for carbon-free or low-carbon hydrogen. We see it as a must alternative, at least in the near future, because energy transition and sustainability also means sustainability of the economy, and the economic shock of switching to such a high extent of only electrolyzed produced hydrogen is very damning, has a very damning effect. And I will stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So Hungary is definitely moving forward with a biogas strategy, so that's very exciting. Hydrogen, of course, a lot of potential, perhaps more of a long-term strategy. And so, yeah, we'll continue to get the national inputs here. If I could go to Mr. Gibic, and you can maybe tell us a little bit more about Poland's situation.
Thank you very much. Let me starting by thanking the organizers for having me here. I must follow the line of Balint. I'm neither the expert in green gases. Nevertheless, I will try to explain a bit how the situation in Poland looks like. And I will focus more on the hydrogen network or a hydrogen situation because we have Mr. Michał Tarka from our Polish biomethane organization, and I don't want to steal the lines of the professional in this field. So hydrogen is has a huge potential, as we already have seen from the Oldrich presentation. This is in particularly true because we have set ourselves really ambitious targets in terms of decarbonization, in terms of going green in all the sectors of the economy. It's not just energy production, it's also transportation, it's heating, it's industry. All these sectors can benefit from hydrogen expansion. And they need to because there are some hard to abate sectors. It's not just the industry, which was mentioned. That's also heavy duty transport. As we've seen from the presentation, the potential for hydrogen use in shipping or aviation is quite high. Poland is one of the biggest producers of hydrogen in Europe, but it's gray hydrogen. So it doesn't qualify as a sustainable solution. In terms of sustainable solutions, I guess nobody in Europe has it for the moment, but the future is much brighter. We have already 3 years ago adopted a hydrogen strategy by 2030 with the outlook to 2040. And as you've seen already, we intend to have around 2 gigawatts of electrolyzers capacity by then. We would also like to have 800 to 1,000 hydrogen buses running in Poland and 32 stations where you can buy hydrogen. This is maybe not the very exciting, or it's just a starting point, but we see a sort of vicious circle here with no supply for hydrogen. There is no big demand. Without big demand, there is no way of inviting the entities to go big in the supply. So with strategies, with introduction of hydrogen valleys, with setting specific targets for energy production, for heating, for industry, use of hydrogen, we can make it better. We need also to remember that hydrogen is a brand new sector, I would say, which is a chance for us as a V4 countries, because it's difficult for us to compete in a very well-rooted sectors with big players in Western Europe or globally. But with new niches, we can enter this market as a fully fledged player and be there active. So there are, of course, big differences in capacities. And this story that Balint already told you about, the first auction in the European Hydrogen Bank, shows that there is a big difference in potential. That's why we, together with some other countries, we proposed a non-paper, and we are repeating this matter in the meetings of experts and lately the Energy and Environment Council. We want to convince the European Commission to change the terms for the second auction or the future auctions in hydrogen bank because we see there is no way we can compete with the countries which are rich in renewable energy, solar. So Iberian Peninsula that took 83% of the whole basket from the first auction. And with the wind-rich countries in the Scandinavia, where you have vast spaces and you can produce as much as you can, we are in this part of Europe that has limited potential in renewables. So we need either a specific basket or any kind of other rules. We are open to proposals, but we cannot compete on equal terms. And it would be good to have all countries that would be interested in producing green hydrogen, not just some specialized ones. As you probably also know, in Poland we are undergoing the energy transition. We are so far we had energy production and energy consumption in the south of the country, where we have big industry and large potential of coal mining. And now we are moving our energy production more to the north. The cornerstone of future Polish energy mix will be the offshore wind farms in the Baltic Sea and the nuclear power plant, which the first one will be also located at the border at the seaside. So we need to start thinking how to first transmit this energy from the north to the south. And the other thing is how to use the excess renewable energy, because we have peaking hours when there is a lot of sun. And already this year, our grid operator told some big photovoltaics producers to simply switch off their production because the grid was unable to handle this amount of energy from solar. So hydrogen is both a chance to have a storage of energy, excess energy, and use it for balancing during the night hours or non-wind hours, and also to use this excess energy so that we don't have this very high peaks and very low valleys in terms of energy prices, spot energy prices in the market. But of course, there are many problems. That's a brand new sector, so the technology is not mature in terms of storage, in terms of transportation. The costs are still high. The production capacity for electrolyzers is limited. So currently there is a clock in the pipeline. When you order now, you can get your electrolyzers in some years. If you haven't done it 2-3 years before now, you need to wait. There is a problem of how to repurpose the existing gas infrastructure, and European Commission does not want to finance the new gas infrastructure. So you can have only from the CEF the financing for hydrogen networks. We have seen from the map that all our countries will have somehow to be involved in this backbone of hydrogen network. Nevertheless, we need to strive to be not only the transportation hubs, so that all the networks go to Germany or to other industrialized countries, but also we become the big producers of hydrogen and big consumers with the reindustrialization of European industry. So let me finish here. I will pass the floor around, and if there are some things that Mr. Tarka does not mention in terms of biomethane, biogas, then I will come back with some extra information if needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Many things to revisit after these opening statements. With that, I'd like to move to Mr. Berbart. Maybe we could kind of continue the talk on hydrogen from the Czech perspective, if you would.
Yeah. So also big thanks from my side to organizers, because I really see that we are following the discussions we had in the past within V4 countries. I prepared a short presentation, and I will start with biomethane. Although the biomethane is not my, let's say, prime, I'm more interested and more involved in the hydrogen, so I will come to that later. So if we are talking in the Czech Republic about the green gases, I must say that we have about 3 topics. The first is definitely biomethane, afterward renewable hydrogen and synthetic methane. Unfortunately, we do not see any option for the production of synthetic methane in the Czech Republic to make sure that this synthetic methane will be competitive with another one produced in the countries with a surplus of renewable energies. So based on that, I will be talking only about the biomethane and renewable hydrogen. So let's go to biomethane. Biomethane has, from our point of view, huge advantage, because this is, let's say, like a natural gas. This is a very easy substitute for natural gas. It's not 100% same, but it's methane from 95%. So you can use the same infrastructure, you can use the same end devices, and you can feed biomethane into, let's say, high pressure gas pipes, and really it can replace the existing natural gas and make natural gas more green. So reduce the food, reduce that CO2 footprint, and to help to get our emission goals somehow fulfilled. The problem is that the production of that biogas, the biomethane from the biogas, is not so easy. And to make it effective, you need to be sure that these biogas stations are very close to high pressure pipelines to be able to create a connection. We did some, let's say, statistics in the Czech Republic, and out of existing 500 biogas stations, about 200, let's say more than half, are located within 2 kilometers from these high pressure pipelines. So it means that to create a connection to the natural gas pipelines is feasible. Let's say, the flip side of that is that definitely we will not be able to replace 100% of our consumption of natural gas. So all the plans we have today are showing that there is a potential to replace about 10 or 15% of existing consumption of natural gas by biomethane. So it means that we need to find some other substitutes, or we need to reduce the consumption of methane or natural gas dramatically, which is not easy. So let's have a look what will be the development of, let's say, the transition from natural gas to biomethane. You can see that we are step by step transforming existing bioplants into biomethane plants, that in the year 2030, more than half of their production should be really should be able to produce biomethane. We have some new plants for the production of biomethane, but on the other hand, also the scope of these plants for the production of biomethane is limited, because you need to have that, let's say, biomass, which will be at the end transformed to biomethane, and we need to have some local biomass, and we do not have endless resources of that biomass. So what we are doing to support the production of biomethane? Definitely, we have some investment subsidies. You can, let's say, you and the companies in the Czech Republic which are starting with the production of biomethane, they can get up to 65% of the subsidy on capex. And there is also some OPEX subsidy, which is based on some, let's say, outcomes of reduction of CO2 footprints, and these, let's say, subsidies are defined by our Energy Regulatory Office at the end of the year. So they are setting the rules how much you will get for your production. And both of these subsidies can be combined, but we need to make sure that there is no overcompensation. So there are some specific rules on that. So this is probably my end about the biomethane, and I would like to talk about the hydrogen strategy and about the use of hydrogen in the Czech Republic. We are just finalizing our hydrogen strategy, the new update for the year 2024. We created the very first hydrogen strategy about 3 years ago, but we realized that what was written in that strategy is not fully applicable for the present conditions. And sometimes I'm using the analogy that it's like sailing against the wind, because if you are sailing against the wind, you cannot go straight ahead. You need to go first left, after right, and left again, and finally you will reach your target. And this is exactly the same story about the hydrogen. We have about 3 stages, and each of these stages has very different goals and different means, different tools, and we really need to swap from one direction to another one. The very first stage is called local islands, and in that stage we are trying to build up some hydrogen valleys, some hubs for the production and consumption of renewable hydrogen. But in that stage, our main target is only, let's say, to fulfill all that obligatory targets, because the produce renewable hydrogen in the Czech Republic, and I think it's a similar situation also in other V4 countries, is extremely expensive. We did some analysis, and if everything goes well, it means you are able to combine some, let's say, wind power, some solar, you have some subsidies, you can get as low as 8 euros per kilogram. But this is really like a limit. It's impossible to get below. But if you need to fulfill all the conditions which are given by RFNBO hydrogen, the price is about 12 or 14 euros per kilogram. And we are talking only about the production price, is without the distribution. So our goal in that first stage is to create as many places where we are able to produce and use hydrogen, but we are definitely not trying to maximize our production because it will be too expensive. There is one topic, but I will come to that later, and it was also mentioned several times today. It's low carbon hydrogen, and definitely in that first stage we are also trying to work on the low carbon hydrogen. But let's go, because the name of the conference is Green Gases. So let's go back to the green hydrogen. And we believe that the biggest potential for the green hydrogen will be that second stage, which should be around the year 2030. And in that time, we should have the network of pipelines. And we are working on 2 main pipelines. And in the Czech Republic, we have something like a triangle pipelines. And as I said, that renewable energy is not a strong part of the Czech Republic, but on the other side, what could be the competitive advantage of the Czech Republic is that we have very solid system of pipelines for natural gas, and we have in all that 3 lines, which you can see on that triangle, on that picture in the middle, we have 3 pipelines in parallel. So we can start with repurposing of that pipeline. So we are already working on that, and at the end we are able to have a capacity on each of that 3 entry points to the Czech Republic, about 1.5 million tons of hydrogen. So hydrogen a year. So it's incredible amount. So this is something that we are not able to produce from our renewable resources. But on the other hand, we need to make sure that somebody is able to feed the hydrogen into our pipes. And due to the fact that we are a landlocked country, we need also to have the partners who are working on that pipeline as well. But definitely we are talking with Germany. This is that so-called that red line on that picture, so-called Czech-German hydrogen interconnector. And another very important pipeline is so-called Central European Hydrogen Corridor, which starts at the western Ukraine, and I'm putting the emphasis on the western because on the western Ukraine we are able to build some windmills and build electrolyzers which are using this renewable energy. Then afterwards through Slovakia, Czech Republic, we can get to Germany and create really another source of the hydrogen. So this is that second stage, which is probably the most important for renewable hydrogen, and we can expect the price between 3 and 4 euros per kilogram of hydrogen, which can really enable the usage of hydrogen in any areas. And the last topic are new technologies, where we are trying to produce again renewable hydrogen in the Czech Republic, but with some technologies which are not available today, and we need to work on them. About that renewable hydrogen, as I said, these are the maps. You see that the V4 countries are not the best one, neither for sun, neither for wind. And this is back to that picture of that triangle with that global bridges. And as I said, we have that 3 main pipelines, and we are trying to make them ready for the year 2030 to import the hydrogen to the Czech Republic. And I'm saying that I'm talking a little bit too much, so only very quickly about the support of hydrogen. The main tool should be the modernization fund, where we have programs Green Gas and E+, which is for the complex programs, just transition fund, cohesion fund, and we are talking about the hydrogen bank as a service, because as it was mentioned before, for Poland, we have totally different conditions, and definitely we are not able to compete with other European countries with a lot of sun and with a lot of wind. So the conclusion, we need to go ahead with biomethane, but biomethane has some limitations because of that input of biomass. The import of renewable hydrogen will be very important, and we need to put a lot of emphasis on low carbon hydrogen, which is a topic on which we are working now, and we are really trying to make sure that the delegated act on low carbon hydrogen will fit to our needs. So this is a conclusion from my Czech side, and I'm looking forward for the questions and discussion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Merbar. You were not speaking too much at all. I think that was extremely informative for all of us, covering biomethane and hydrogen. With that, I'd like to take us back to in person at the table. If we could go to Mr. David Concho, and you could tell us some about the biogas industry and maybe interplay with the Slovak government in Slovakia, please.
Yeah. Hello. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, yeah, it's working.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm here on behalf of Slovak Biogas Association. We cover more than 50% of biogas plants in Slovakia. Currently, the number is around 70 or 76 up to 80 working biogas plants. They have the total installed capacity is around 70 megawatts um, of of of, uh, of energy. So basically, not that huge compared, for example, to the industry in Czech Republic or in Poland as well. Um, Maybe I will have to go down the memory lane a bit to explain the situation in the Slovakia, since we've started with 112 biogas plants in between the years 2010 and 2013. There's already has been around 30 facilities that has been shut down during these last 10 years. Various reasons for that. I guess I will commend it. On that forward. So probably the one most important thing that initiated the start of the building of biogas plants in Slovakia in the mentioned years has been the feed-in tariff set in a very interesting rate for the agriculture and the farmers, and they've seen a lot of good things coming from the finances. So of course they went to these projects. They built biogas plants. Many of them were built in a green meadow without the use of the heat to heat some social households or schools or agriculture buildings. So this has led to the decrease of the working biogas plants in next years. They couldn't secure the feedstock, of course, because all the lands were they didn't own any land. So these projects naturally didn't manage to survive up to these days. So it is unfortunate that we now our biogas sector decreased significantly. We also work with we have to work with what we've got. So there's some statistics on in our NCP that says that it is possible to produce 200 million of cubic meters of biomethane until 2030, which is the most recent information from the Ministry of Economy. Before it was 350 million, but obviously it has to decrease. So this is where we are now. The content of the right now we have one biomethane plant in Slovakia that produce around 50 gigawatt hours in the last year, according to the renewable registry of gases. So it's our only source of the renewable biomethane in Slovakia. Where does this put Slovakia and the future of the biogas? It is really important to talk not only about the production of biomethane when speaking about biogas plants, but also about the utilization of heat and also the use of yeah, sorry, I got lost a bit. So yeah, the use of electricity, digestate, and biogas. When speaking about biogas, it's also very important to speak about the agricultural part. The digestate is sometimes considered to be a really huge problem when talking to the farmers in Slovakia. Most of the farmers, they are not really interested in applying digestate on the fields. Why is that? Simply fertilizers that comes from the fossil fuel are just much more cheap to apply to the agricultural fields than the digestate. Because while working with the digestate, you have to follow certain strict rules to secure all the nutrients to go into the soil, and that is important to have finances for that. Some technical instruments, some heavy duty vehicle, and so on and so forth. The situation in the electricity field is about to be complicated as well, because the feed-in tariff set in more than 15 years, less than 15 years ago, it's about to end. So there's a question for the biogas plants in Slovakia, which way they want to go. They want to stay, create the electricity. If they do, they must utilize the heat and work with the digestate. And if not, they have to transform to the biomethane. Currently, there's 33 biogas plants that are able to connect to the gas grid. Slovak gas industry reimbursed 75% of the cost to connect to the gas grid in Slovakia, but the biogas plant needs to stand near the less than 4 kilometers away from the grid. If it's more, it's not feasible for the to finance, so it's not possible. This now I'm talking about the high pressure grid. We also have examples in Slovakia that it is also possible to connect to the medium pressure grid, and that is the first biogas plant that has been approved by the Slovak gas industry to actually connect, and that I think gives the possibility to the more than 30 other biogas plants in Slovakia to connect. So out of I think 80 working biogas plants, it is possible to connect at least 60 biogas plants to the creation of biomethane. Very popular in Slovakia. In the existing one plant that is actually producing the biomethane is to sell the biomethane abroad. Very hard. It's for Slovak companies that are interested in this biomethane. It's very hard to compete with the foreign countries that can offer much higher price for it. So maybe at the end of the day, there's a question if there's at least if there will be any biomethane left in Slovakia to meet the targets that we have, because it can be all sold abroad. So we must be cautious and prepare for this as well. Okay, I think that we will discuss more later. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic there. So we will revisit these points again. And last but not least, I would go to our final opening remarks with Mr. Michel Tarka. If you could share with us what you're doing perhaps in the Polish biomethane scene these days. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes.
As I said before, thank you for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here with you. Unfortunately, only online, but it's, well, difficult time. Everything is happening now. It's time before the holidays, and everybody wants to finish their work. So I'm here. And what I wanted to say is to put some simple information about the situation, but also to ask some general questions to everybody to maintain the discussion on that. What I found out here is what is surprising for me, that in Czech Republic and in Slovakia there's no dynamic, let's say, improvement in biomethane. You've been discussing on existing plants. I don't see any particular plans for new biomethane production. That's what I've heard. That's what I understood. But what is happening in Poland? In Poland, we have no biomethane plant, so there is no biomethane available in the gas pipes or even as CNG or LNG fuel. But there is very huge potential, as you presented at the beginning. And we are treated in the European Union as one of the 4 or 5 most attractive markets for green gas in form of biomethane. To do so, we need regulatories, and we are at the regulatory market, and so the regulations are doing the business in this case. In Poland, we have no special support for biomethane in the regulations. We are working on that with our government as the biomethane organization set up 2 years by largest Polish oil and gas and heating companies. All those large companies that are in my organization, they are looking for green gas in the form of biomethane by 2030 to decarbonize their activities. So the volumes are huge to in order to decarbonize those companies. For example, in order to decarbonize the transport sector, we need 1 billion cubic meters of biomethane only in Orlen company. In order to decarbonize district heating in companies like Veolia or PGE, we need at least additional 700 million cubic meters by 2030. And for the industrial players like everybody who uses gas and whom I know and the companies that decided to show their targets, they need around additional 900 million cubes per year from 2030. Our potential is something around. I mean that in all analyses that are available, our potential for 2030 is around something between 3 billion cubes to up to even 4.5 billion cubic meters per year from 2030, what is, let's say, available. But from our analysis, the technical and investment potential is less, and it goes somewhere for around 2 billion cubic meters per year. It's still a lot, but that needs regulatory changes. And for now, as the organization, we are promoting best standards also with our partners from Europe. So from the BIP, which is the Biomethane Industrial Partnership, the coalition between the industrial players and the European Commission, in order to promote European level target, which is set up by the Commission at the level of 35 billion cubic meters per year, which is something around more or less 10% of the natural gas consumption in the European Union. Our Polish gas consumption is around 20 billion cubic meters per year for now. So the number that I'm promoting and what I said is technically and investment as an investment possible is around 2 billion cubic meters per year. And if our government will be interested to take this biomethane, we expect to We expect to get some changes to the regulations in the supporting scheme, in the permitting, and the gas and the biomethane quality standards. Those 3 levels of regulations are needed to take biomethane from the ground in Poland. One more thing, what I wanted to add at the beginning is our energy strategy, which is now revised. So the National Energy and Climate Plan is under revision. We are also a part of this revision. We've been consulting our ministry, where we are still in a position that in this plan, biomethane should take a significant role in the level of 2 billion cubes per year. We expect that it will be less, but still, I believe that this year will be let's say the starting point for large industry creation in Poland, biomethane industry creation. But to let's say confirm this, I have to see the regulations, and that's something that we are now discussing with our government, if interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So with that, I'd like to encourage online audience and the audience here to start maybe thinking about some questions. There's so much to unpack here. I think what I'd like to do is start with the more kind of short-term framework. Let's start with biomethane. Let's consider perhaps the recent context as well, with this intensification of geopolitical dynamics affecting energy security, and of course now with the European Green Deal, with European elections, talking about regulations within the NECP. I would like to ask how have these, let's say, forces over the last maybe 2 years, 2 to 3 years, has there been a noticeable increase in support or interest for biomethane, and the fact that, as Aldrich showed us, there is this potential for drop-in to replace natural gas, so more of an energy security impetus. And Mr. Tarka, as you were saying, you're involved right now with the Polish NECP, with the regulatory environment, and also at the European level. So I would just maybe come back to Balint, if I may, and could you comment on just recent trends? Have you noticed that there's been greater interest and willingness to support these programs because of the energy security situation?
Well, definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna, sorry, for Mr. Egerhazy. I would start here, if I may. Thank you.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
No problem, sorry.
So then, yes, I would say that absolutely. The interest is rather in decreasing the natural gas dependency rather than in biomethane itself. But this overarching interest, politically, from abroad and from home as well, of course, translates to the newfound interest in biofuels and biogas and biomethane as well. We are also, of course, in the process of finalizing the updated NECP, as I am well aware that all of my colleagues or some of my colleagues may as well be, and that is in and of itself a huge burden right now as we are nearing the deadline. And I have to say that this overarching new interest in decreasing the consumption of natural gas, and especially the import of natural gas, has made its way into every intervention and every measure that is the back of the NECP. I have to say that extensive energy efficiency and heating technology changes are one of the main goals that we can achieve this. And that because natural gas, this is my opinion as well, that natural gas cannot be neglected in the short, even in the medium term in the energy field, especially with the plant phasing out of the last coal power plant in Hungary. Biomethane is easily the best technology to use for natural gas substitution in the short term, but it is not enough. It can contribute, but in and of itself, it is a small contribution, and technological displacement is also needed, especially at household farming equipment, so to say.
Yeah, so maybe a bit wishful thinking, perhaps, if we're looking at the 50% level, for example, displacing natural gas, maybe that's a bit wishful. And yeah, Mr. Tarka, you wanted to jump in there. Maybe you could also comment on kind of the trends in support from the Polish government at the European level.
Well, the European level is quite easy to understand. The RED III entered into force, and we see what is available. What is our wish is to implement those regulations to the country level and give support to biomethane plants, to large facilities in order to start production. And as we know, the first years and first projects, first plants, they need to be supported. And in order to start this industry, this support is needed. It is the question how much the support should be, but still there is a financial issue. Somebody has to pay for it. But if we want to start this road, we need to start also the subsidize, as we did with the wind farms before and with the PV farms before. Years ago, both technologies were also supported. Now they don't have to be supported. But if we want to start the biomethane story in a large scale, this supporting is also needed at this time. So, well, yes, the supporting here is crucial in our opinion, and we are still waiting for that, let's say, regulations in Poland. I hope see this in the course of this year. Thank you.
Mr. Gibek?
Yeah, I would like to point to three things, three phenomena. The first is sovereignty, energy sovereignty, which is absolutely crucial with the current geopolitical situation. We, of course, very successfully get rid of Russian gas to a large proportion from European energy mix, but we substituted it mostly with either Norwegian gas or LNG imports from Middle East, mainly, or from US. This is not a sovereign solution in the long term. So we would have to start it with our own solar, our own wind, our own biomass, biogas, biomethane. And by the way, we of course cannot substitute the import of fossil fuels with the import of ready-made renewable energy installations from China or anywhere else. So that's the first thing, the sovereignty. The second is security in terms of decentralization. So we are witnessing what is the result if you have very centralized energy system. It's quite easy to target in war conditions, either by army or by sabotagists, with a very decentralized system of couple of hundreds or a couple of thousands, even if we develop it further. Biogas plants, it's much easier. It's much easier to defend yourself. Much more difficult. You might make much more difficult for the aggressor. And the third thing is the Green Deal. and actually the opposition to Green Deal from the farmers. So with the growing role of biomethane and biogas in the production, we can convince these people that that Green Deal is also beneficial to them. And we can, on the basis of local biomethane, biogas plants, we can build local energy communities, energy hubs with the use of combined power from the solar, from the wind, and from the biogas as a balancing option. So there are many advantages of development of these sectors in the current geopolitical but also social circumstances. Thanks.
Great. So with that, maybe I could turn to Mr. Concho, and what would you say that this is this resonating in Slovakia, this type of imperative in terms of, you know, national strategy, for example, or is there some response in Slovakia as well?
Yes, in the past months, we've turned to the Ministry of Economy, which is a crucial part in developing the whole biomethane sector in Slovakia. However, we weren't successful to persuade the ministry about the creation of national biomethane strategy, which is kind of unfortunate compared to the other countries. So far, we are stuck with only updating the NCP, and we do not have the willingness from the government to strongly support the next development of the biomethane. When it comes to the self-sufficiency or using the produced biomethane, we are far from self-sufficiency and using biomethane as a replacement of the whole amount of the natural gas. In Slovakia, it's roughly 8%, as we've also could see in Oldrich's presentation. So from the short term, definitely. From the there's middle term, but there's not really a future in believing that the whole biomethane can exclude the natural gas in Slovakia. So yeah, that's for me.
So it's still more of a niche role in Slovakia, and maybe quickly, Mr. Merbart, with Czech Republic, would you say more optimism, like in Poland, you see that the energy security environment, has that really given a good push to the industry, would you say?
Actually, I'm pushing a hydrogen ahead, so you must be a big optimist. So definitely, if you are talking about biomethane, it's about self-sufficiency. But it was said by several of my colleagues, you cannot, let's say, fulfill all your consumption of natural gas by biomethane. You know, we can talk about 10, 15, maybe 20% of overall consumption, and that's it. You know? My favorite, because with hydrogen, we have the very same question. A lot of people were saying to me that we can produce our own hydrogen, but it's like to produce our own bananas or oranges. Yeah, definitely you can do it in the Czech Republic, but they will be pretty expensive and probably a little bit sour or bitter. Yeah? So we can do it, but we need to make sure that it's efficient, effective, and for reasonable price. But the main question is how to make sure that the diversity is, let's say, that we are able to pay for the diversity. Because if we have one source of, let's say, natural gas in the past from Russia, it was definitely cheap, but now after a couple of years, we realized that that price was quite artificial, and it was a price which was, let's say, the political one, and now we are paying for the outcomes of that.
Right. So yes, it seems in summary that there is maybe not so much potential for biomethane, but still absolutely the regulatory support is needed as kind of a nascent industry. And perhaps, you know, the first biomass plant in Poland is probably a lot easier than the first nuclear plant in Poland, I'm sure. Are there any other questions on biomethane from online audience here in the room? Yes, please, if you want to come up, I can hand you the microphone.
First of all, thank you for the great presentation and the table discussion. My name is András Szilasi. I am coming from the MOL Group, which is the third biggest company in Central Europe, and we are having really ambitious plans about even green hydrogen and biomethane. I am dealing with biomethane, so my question will focus to biomethane, and this is still in the future, so the legislation developments and the backgrounds should be developed from European and local level, and even the market should be boosted, the production should be started. But do you ever, or do you already thought about the idea that biomethane can be a stock product, it can be traded? And I already heard that in Vienna they are thinking about starting start to list biomethane as a product, or even green hydrogen can be such a product. And I was thinking that in the V4 community, we can have a possibility to trade it, and in the future to start to trade biomethane and green hydrogen as a listed product, and this will contribute to the market transparency and will even boost the market. So that will be my question. Thank you.
Yes, who would like to jump in on that question for more integration, perhaps, as a product in the V4 for biomethane? Anyone?
Sure. So if I can, definitely in regards of green hydrogen, it will be a tradable product, but it needs one precondition. You need to have, let's say, the network of consumers and the producers. And you need to have a chance to interconnect these consumers, off-takers, and the producers together, because you need to have a pool which is between of them. This is the same as with natural gas or with crude oil or whatever today, because it's very easy to market it. But with hydrogen, the only one thing how to market is today is ammonia, because ammonia is transportable. But if you produce 1,000 tons of hydrogen, maybe in South Portugal, and you have the company which would like to buy 1,000 of hydrogen in the Czech Republic, the problem is that we have 5,000 kilometers in between, and you cannot transport it. So it's a remarkable product in the moment when you have a chance to, let's say, make deals between these two companies and make sure that you are able to transport it.
Thank you. Well, we are running low on time, of course. Oh, sorry, Mr. Tarka? Yes, online. Thank you.
Yes,
please.
just short intervention on that question. That's quite obvious that biomethane has already market, and transactions between the producers and off-takers, which creates markets internally in the member states, as well as the cross-border trade, it already exists. And we can even find some spaces to discuss the prices of biomethane, depending on the feedstock, but still the market exists. And it's now growing very fast in the Western European countries. And we believe that also V4 countries will also join them. But what is important to say then in the end that I think the biomethane is something that is quite easy to produce at the moment. There are no infrastructural barriers like in the hydrogen, and I expect that for a long time biomethane will be definitely cheaper than hydrogen. But in the end, both renewable gases should go together. That's final remark for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. With that, we are running low on time, extremely low on time. This is a lot to cover between, biomass to, the bioenergy sphere, let's say. I'd like to give the speakers one last opportunity, maybe just 1 minute lightning round, closing remarks. We didn't get to hydrogen, although we had some great introductory remarks on hydrogen. So perhaps I could ask, maybe coming back to this idea of V4 countries being competitive in this kind of more nascent technology. And of course, the purpose of this dialogue, perhaps not only to share ideas, but to look for opportunities for cooperation. So what do you think is possible, not just from a national level, but from a V4 level? Let's talk about hydrogen, since it is more of an international market. What do you think that V4 can do working together? Is it just infrastructure? Is it also R&D? And how do your countries, how are we competing with Western European countries with deeper pockets that are providing state subsidies and also for research and innovation? So if I could just ask you quick recap on sort of regional cooperation and competition, let's say in hydrogen. Yeah, we can start with Balint, please. Just 1 minute.
1 minute. Wow. No, it works here. I will try to be concise. This is a huge topic. It is. I think this is twofold. First, there is the competitiveness of the EU 27 as it is. I have somewhat touched upon low carbon hydrogen and other derivatives and so on. I will not foray into that very much, but this is a question that I think needs to be addressed even after the application of the Renewable Energy Directive. Regarding the V4, to be frank, I believe we will have a very hard time competing with the Western pacing. And I have, of course, heard before, and I heard it here, and I'm very happy about the Polish intervention regarding the hydrogen bank, because that is a very important topic. That was a pilot auction that has been closed. If we can somewhat lean into the next auction of the hydrogen bank and be stronger as we for the Eastern European countries, that can really help to somewhat level the playing field, because it is not level at all, and it will not be level at all, but we can help somewhat balance it. 1 minute.
Great. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And maybe just over to Mr. Zubek here. Follow up.
Yeah, following up from what Balint just said, I think we could work not only and act not only together at the European stage, but also to invite our academia and our entrepreneurs to cooperate with those from other V4 countries, so that we can build a market that supplies the hydrogen, and also build a market that demands the hydrogen, because currently there is a discrepancy between what we want and what is feasible, what is expected by the market. And if we don't somehow close this gap, there will be no sector, no industry. So that's I say would be paramount for us to do.
Yes, Mr. Merbart.
Yeah, actually, so if we are talking about the competitiveness, probably we will never ever be, let's say, the countries which will export the green hydrogen to the rest of Europe. Maybe with low carbon hydrogen, if we are able to develop some very highly effective technologies based on nuclear power plants, and actually this is a plan of all that 4 countries to use nuclear power plants. But what I'm using as the end of my presentation is that the Czech Republic, and it's similar with all that V4 countries, we are a highly industrialized country. And up to now, we were, let's say, exporting our technology. And even in the past, we are buying for that natural gas and crude oil. So definitely we can do the same even today, that for our technologies, we can import that green hydrogen. But to do that, we really need to make sure that we have a technology which is competitive, and definitely there is a space for cooperation. We are already working on some common project with Slovakia. On early spring, we have a conference in Budapest about cooperation in hydrogen technologies. So hopefully we will see how it works. But I'm representative of the government, so our let's say task is not to put companies together, but to sweep the way for them and to make sure that we are building the conditions which will enable them to cooperate between V4 countries and to develop some, let's say, highly competitive products.
That's great to hear about the cooperation already underway. Mr. Tarka, if I could ask you just 30-second final remarks.
Well, thank you as well for that. What I see here that is the cooperation between the countries is needed to create the value at the European level. As the director of the representative office of the Polish Biomethane Organization in Brussels, I see that there is no coalition of our countries in a certain RED3 or generally in the regulatory issues, where we can build, let's say, values together much more than individually. So my application here is to, let's say, start talking about the mutual interest and promote them at the European level. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Mr. Concho, if you have some last words, perhaps how you might be able to cooperate better with colleagues here in the region to promote biomethane.
As I opened my presentation in a not very cheerful way, I would maybe like to close it with the information that there are new projects for the biomethane in Slovakia. They received the finances from a recovery plan in an amount of 10 million. So until 2026, there should be new projects in biomethane. For me, the best way to work together is, for example, shown in the past, where for example, we have gas grid in all over the Europe. We were able to build a gas grid and connect all the states together. Maybe this could be the best way to learn and into the future to see that we were already able to do it. So why not to repeat this achievement and do it again with the hydrogen?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, allow me to let me ask everyone to please join in a round of applause for this extremely informative topic, where of course we could speak for days. So I guess I am now handing the microphone to Bori or Latsi, or did you want to say any final words here to close the ceremony?
Thank you, and thank you all of you also for our guests online, and also for those who participated here on site. And I just want to say that thank you for all your remarks on future cooperation and all your, let's say, support for going further with finding those topics where we can cooperate and where we can maybe represent the region's interest also on European era and foster cooperation also regionally. So please stay tuned. We will come back in Bratislava with the rest of the topics that we assigned for this year. And please just allow me to thank for everybody, and I close today's panel. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No, I don't know. I have a train. 2.5 hours. Yes.
Very ecological.
airplanes run out of places. In the evening, there is no. Well, with the train, I will be around 9 a.m. It's 3 hours of dinner, so I prefer to go earlier because it's Friday. A very long list of things to do. Well, we have this one, but it's low. I would very much welcome the high speed. Well, it depends, and it's the implementation of transboundary project. It's always difficult. We are experiencing it right now with the rail to Estonia, and this is probably a project with a very 2028 or something like this. So yes, trains have a future. I definitely think. Yes. Oh. And then it will go with this. Thank you very much. I will make a good use of it.
Yeah, also for you, these are not bonbons to eat, these are bonbons to grow some nice flowers.
Wow.
Further again of decarbonization.
Okay.
If you want something sweet, you better go outside and get some sahar torta.
So planted and
Yes. Thanks a lot. That was a pleasure to meet here. Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Let us know if you have any more what's the next subject, the next issue you're to discuss?
The river.
Oh, definitely.
Tomorrow,
Great. Yeah, great. So our ministries are without some from my colleagues. Something is coming. Hungarians are thinking about making one of the priorities of their
we might.
So as to get to the airport on time.
Actually, know that we were really you might also
No, for me, the lesson for the lecture tomorrow.
Let us know if you want.
Yeah, I know about it, that's why. I don't know why.
Maybe there's something happening here. But we had also a nice meeting in the ministry during the lunch break. So and my minister is flying to Brussels with together with Minister Kaiser at the same plane, so they might continue. And I'm getting on the train back.
I'm so happy that finally we could thank you for all your effort, because without you we couldn't have never had this high level panel. So thank you very much for that.
Okay. I mean, it's Christoph, he was interested in coming. That's the most important. His decision is crucial, not mine.
But anyway, it was very nice.
Good. I hope that's a good step for further cooperation.
Exactly. We'll do that.
Yeah. Take care.
Have
All
a
the
nice
best,
day.
and thank you.
And also,
See you next time,
fantastic.
or at least let's contact next time.
Stay
We'll look
stay
for something.
tuned.
Yeah, I will go make now redress and make a little tour of Budapest. See some major, attraction. Second, I was the first time was during the Hungarian presidency, last Hungarian presidency. That was, and I remember hardly anything. I came with the